We're live. It's Friday. Defy the odds. Hey, everyone. I am Lynn Serrano, and you are the man.
And I'm Brian.
Hi, Brian.
Hello. Howdy.
It's Friday. It's Friday. It's Friday. Oh, no, I'm not going to go on that trendy, non-trend, whatever kind of song that was. But it was kind of catchy because, but it was kind of annoying. Did that annoy you, that song? Kind of like it?
Not really.
No, it was, catchy. One wonder, I don't even know if that girl ever did any more songs other than It's Friday. But, but it's got, I bet if I YouTube that right now, it's gotten, I'm curious. I'm probably going to do that while we're in the show. It must have got like 3 million hits when it first came out, like that song, that video.
Things that are one-hit wonders will be remembered for one reason or another.
Oh yeah, just like that guy in American Idol. He did the shebang.
William Hung.
Yeah. That was him. He was trending pretty good.
That's the epitome of the Dunning-Kruger effect, where his proficiency was better than what he thought it was. Or, excuse me, his perception, his own proficiency was better than what it was.
Yeah.
Is that people that think that they're better than what they are and they'll make you aware of it, right? Are usually not as good as they think they are. That's the whole research. And so somebody in that realm, I mean, he thought he was great. Like, he thought he was the best things to music history.
Hey, that's called
when people cut him down, that he didn't know what to do.
No, it's called he was self-confident.
Self-something. Self-confident to the point where he was not even was he even wearing shoes, or was he even on the planet Earth? Who knows, right?
I know. And it's all a matter of perception.
Correct.
And his perspective.
But what music he sold and what he didn't sell and where he is now, well, that's a testament, I guess, right?
I know. Should have the show of Where Are They Now?
Oh, geez. He's probably, I don't even want to say, but it's, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, we got people that are here. I got to say hi to everyone. Hi, Scott Ricard. Fun Friday. Absolutely. And good afternoon. We really appreciate you. Dennis Barry. Oh, my gosh. I forget where he lives, but I might be able to see him on my way home. I don't know. And then Lori, I can't wait to be in New York to see Lori. And Dennis, I went to school with at 6th grade, and oh, wow. This is so stinking cool to see everybody here. Thank you for being here, you guys. Speaking of just the next 3 weeks, you're in Maryland. You know what? I'm going through Maryland, and I could probably drop off one of my books to you that I wrote. I mentioned 6th grade in there. Yeah. Anyways, the next 3 weeks are crazy, and I feel really bad because I'm looking at my schedule and I'm supposed to be here 3 hours here, 2 hours there, here, and seeing Lip Lock and seeing all these people. We're gonna start playing some replays.
Only 3 hour commitment. Come on.
No. I mean, I'm talking about driving through here and drive-throughs and things like that. Because I'm going to Georgia, then South Carolina, North Carolina, and then I'm going through. I think I'll stop in Maryland to see Dennis Barry. Now that'll be super cool. But anyhow, so it's really, really. And Dennis said hi to you too, Brian.
Hey,
so
thank you for not leaving me out.
Yeah. So anyways, and he went to school with Lori as well. So, cool. The next 3 weeks are going to be really crazy for me, Brian, which means we're going to have to play some rewinds, you guys. Sorry about that. I know. Wah, wah, wah.
That's the best I can get without it looking really creepy.
Well, it's really hard because, I think you and I were talking the other day, like when you're passing through town and then you say, oh, can we do this way and that way? And then I realize it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon and then people want to meet and then I'm cutting people off. because, oh, you see, yeah, I thought Brian's shirt was nice too. It's really cool.
Thank you, Lori.
Yeah.
It's not my normal MO, but I'm like, why that?
It's Friday. It's Friday.
I mean, now Lori, coming up in the folder, the winter, if I wear this shirt, that's the ultimate test if you like the shirt at that time of year, because
any time of the year is going to be great, especially on podcasts. I mean, you never know when replay is going to come. She goes, it's fun. Yeah, I think it's fun too. Absolutely.
It's amazing to me, like, Lori, now that you say that, it's amazing to me, like, if you let your true self-expression go and it's just you, just by facial expressions. Now, we don't know the perception of like what's getting them to cause that reaction, but I only wonder, it's like, oh my God, that guy looks hideous or something. It's like, oh, well.
No, I know we were in the middle of discussion. I say, hey, I like your shirt. He goes, that doesn't change our topic or what we're talking about. I'm like, yeah, but I got to say that in case I didn't say it on the show. Because it is nice. It caught my attention. It distracted me from what I was saying at the time.
It takes away from my sunburned face or my red hair.
That's right, Lori. Life's too short not to have fun. And I'm planning to be at her house July 11th. And there's so many stops in between that are not even funny. So I was like, to make the commitment of the show, I would love to do it. But I don't know if people want to be like at lunch and say, come on, we're going to be on the show with Brian right now. I don't, or I'm driving through the Beltway or whatever way, so I was
that's the secondary commitment that she's not asking everybody, she's going to get to everybody's house, but then it's like, hey, by the way, you're going to be on my show.
It would be funny to do, but it would be funny to do, that would be real and raw, but it just, for some reason, it kind of stresses me out to make sure at least I got things set up or the mics are working and that kind of stuff. And I'm like, no, I need to separate the two. So yeah, and like you said, it's summertime, so we're just going to have to just do it. And we were talking about a little bit about the topic of defy the odds, being self-development driven and, innately going for your goals and all that stuff that Brian and I are very passionate about. Sometimes life throws you curveballs and it throws you different things that, like being a former bodybuilder. I wish I could just go do that to go lose 100 pounds, but I can't. I got a couple different conditions that stop me from doing that. So it's a little bit modified and redone, but it doesn't stop my mindset from wanting to get there. You just gotta, we've talked in the past about just doing things a little bit different, and I've had, with dyslexia and brain injuries and different things, it doesn't defy you, and you don't need to be stuck with those labels. You just need to defy the odds and still look at where you want to go. Wouldn't you agree, Brian?
Yeah, I would. I also don't, I can't relate. I want to be out of situations where people are living the victim mentality. Right. I can't be around those people. Right. Because, can everybody find something hey, Helen, can everybody find something that they could want to, sit on their couch and eat bonbons and watch reruns of TV, right? We could all find something that would hold us back in life that if, that's like, there's a reason why we should be sad or upset or frustrated. Right. That isn't going to, the outcome is the outcome. The result is the result. Right. Right. And I can't be around people like that because it's like putting a wall in front of a car going very fast.
Absolutely. And the thing, and I think that's where we should start is, I mean, when you get a curveball in any situation you're in, still think of what you want to do. Don't look at it like, oh, this is my clue, I shouldn't do this, but say, okay, what do I do from here? And is this still my passion, or is this, or am I able to still do this or whatever? But then you reverse engineer it and find different ways, like, Edison there. I mean, he and Einstein and all of them, they didn't stop because they found, that just didn't work that way. That roadmap didn't work that way. So, you can wallop in it and say it wasn't successful, or you can just pick yourself up and say, I still have a mission. Henry Ford didn't know how to do something, but he found the people that could do it for him.
Well, I would expand upon what you said is that, I don't think it's passion. I think it's outcome. The passion comes in time, when you
Hi,
well, be
Jerry.
prepared. Yeah, absolutely. You adjust
Yep.
your swing. You know.
Absolutely. And that's why I thought this would be a great topic today is defy your odds. Like I said, you get knocked down from a horse, you got to get back up. And all those cliches have a big meaning. And it is you can defy the odds. And that's what makes a great story because you can get the same result in all different ways. Even writing a book, you can go high end, get an editor, get a publisher, get all these different things, ghostwriters, all these different things to, hi, Mark.
Hey, Mark.
So, and he said hi to you, not his social media wife. I noticed that. We're being so sentimental. Man, I'm really going to miss everybody in the next couple weeks. But, like I said, let me see. What did Jerry say here? You always
fail forward and learn from each failure. You will fail more than you win in. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what makes the underdog story always the best ones.
Yep.
Because, the ones that say, well, I paid my money and I got my college degree or whatever, it's that, or is it the sweat equity, or the on the job training to learn things, it really is.
Well, I mean, an expectation of nothing. And
right.
What I mean by that is that you do the work regardless if there's a paycheck or whatever, because it's in your heart to do it. Right.
Absolutely.
It's like, if you're doing your life's work, I mean, you would do it for free, but you can't. You got expenses. Right. You need to make a profit, but you don't have an expectation. And
Absolutely.
when people have to feel that in order for it to be present. And
Absolutely.
When you love what you do, you're willing to work hours upon hours to get it done, but you're going to change the scope of things. And it's going to be a slow game, but you're not going to settle for anything less than your viewpoint, right?
Absolutely.
Now, does it mean that you're going to somebody else's thoughts or whatever? No, but your fire is burning brighter all the time. And the more people that doubt you, the more people that, that like you mentioned, and I actually had it written down, the underdog. That was one of the pieces on my green piece of paper on a green screen that can't be seen. It says the underdog. Is that I love the underdog because the things that people go through to get where they're at, they don't have to justify anything to anybody, right?
Yeah.
Because but also though, out of that, the only thing they know is action. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
They really simplify things where it's like talking doesn't do anything.
Right.
Whatever it is, you're all doing it.
Right.
I mean, and that can be a habit as well. But thinking will not create an action. Taking an action creates an action.
All right. Absolutely. That's why it was really hard going, shit, the next 3 weeks. How can I make my show go and get to point A, point B and do all these things? Right. It's just like stressing me out. And I'm like, it's just going to have to give right now because this fall I have other shows coming on and I'm producing and I'm doing all these other things. And those things aren't going to work if I don't take time to do and evaluate everything myself. So it's a process growing up and getting out of your comfort zone. It's a process, and you just got to do it. You just can't.
Well, and here's one of the worst things you can do is wait for somebody else to do it first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your life, my life and your life, it's like we're sharing them together in this very moment, but whatever I do in this moment or don't do doesn't affect you. Right.
Right.
So it's, so don't wait for anybody to give you kudos or any of that kind of stuff because this is your life.
Yeah. Ain't nobody going to do that stuff for you.
No, nobody's going to wait on your front porch ready to give you a nice car or, a bunch of money or whatever that you haven't earned yet. Not going to happen.
No.
So, the underdog, I love it when I was in high school athletics that I'm like, I told the coach, I said that this is BS. I'm here every day working just as hard as everybody else, but my parents don't own a car dealership or whatever that I don't, I'm not one of the first players. Right. It's just the truth of the matter. Right.
No, but
I excelled in other areas. Right.
Right.
So I'm like, hey, okay, I'm not good here. I'm going to go over here.
Right. Well, and I can look at it this way, though, is you may have felt that way because of car dealership or this or that, but that just means that you would have had to work 10 times as hard just to be noticed.
Okay.
You know, you to, you know, because let's face it, I don't care if the car dealership guy's dad, you know, bought his way there. If you can throw at 6 years old, you can throw a 100-mile speedball. Let me tell you, that coach will say, I want to win. I'm taking that kid, you know. So it really is. It really is.
Well, and then fast forward in life, it's like, what does that matter now? It doesn't matter anything. It doesn't matter anything other than the lessons that were learned and how petty it was given that time frame, right?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, like, you know, if you have aspirations to be a professional athlete or somewhat like that, I mean, you got to go up to the ranks. Mm-hmm. But it's like to defy the odds, where it's just like, hey, just because they're your coach doesn't mean they have your best interests at heart.
No. But defying the odds is the fact that you realize you got to work harder and you got to stand out you got to stand out in the crowd just to be noticed, that you do matter, and that despite anything else, you're going to stand out. And if they put you on the bench, then that coach doesn't want to win.
Well, and you got to defying the odds is that you do it your own way.
Right.
You know, does it make sense to anybody else? You know, just look at any historical person that was up to big things, mm-hmm. you know, and then you read what they did to do what they did. What's up, Larry? When you review that stuff, it's like, man, I'd never be up for that. Well, okay, then you know your parameters, you know your limitations.
Right. Right.
But are you willing to do what it takes? Are you willing to do it in your own way and stick with it? The consistency. I mean, if we were to put one other word in here, defy the odds consistently. Absolutely. Because there's always going to be ones if you're up to big things. Absolutely. You know, because once you reach one big thing, then there's another one, then there's another one, and then you're charting you're going down uncharted territory because you don't know what it can be like. Like Jerry, for instance, like with all of his courses, right? He could be doing a lecture or something like that in front of a group of people, and all of a sudden, you know, a whole nother module or series of training comes about. Mm-hmm. We just don't know, right?
Yep. Yep.
But the only thing that matters is if you take some kind of action.
Well, you know, actions speak louder than words. So when you're taking the actions, you're going to defeat the odds of anyone else that didn't take the actions. It's just, you know, the consistency of being present. And it's funny because, you know, 55 years old and being at my dad's, you know, 80-year-old, and all the triggers of, you know, how he was when I was younger and his stubbornness, and, you know, I mean, the age difference and that baby boomer and all that stuff. I'll tell you what, it's not easy being in your dad's house. I mean, so, but you know, you gotta take the actions. You gotta do what you gotta do. But, you know, I haven't even put content on. I haven't even really been on Facebook lately. You know, it's just part of being vacation or whatever, you know, I'm just going with the flow. But, you definitely, you know, I feel like every morning, wow, you know, I should be doing some content, and I just haven't felt like doing it. And so, you know, but I feel it. I feel not doing it. And I feel like, you know, my ass has got to get back to doing that at least. So, yeah. But, you know, things become a habit, you know, and it takes the 21 days, they said, you know, and 90 days, to, you know, just to really form your new habits. So, we should defy the odds in everything. We shouldn't always take everything to the letter to be. I don't like labels. I don't like putting things in a box, you know. Yeah. So
you know, you have the pen, you have the marker, you have the pencil to carve whatever you want to have happen.
Yeah.
You know, and to be honest with you, the more no's or the more resistance that you get, it should only fire you up to do it more and better.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, there's people that have never been rejected in their life that they don't know what that's about. Like, given they've lived a certain life, most people spend too long aiming and never fire. Yeah. Right.
And most of the time they're aiming at the wrong thing. Correct. So even if you were to fire, you're going to miss.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like here in the Midwest, a lot of people hunt. You know, so somebody gets all decked up in their new gear and their freshly, you know, oiled gun, and they don't see a damn thing, versus somebody that, you know, works all the time and hardly has any time to do anything, but they're ready to go. They shoot something. right?
Yeah.
I mean, somebody that has all the time in the world to get ready, but they don't see something out in the woods versus somebody that does, whatever it
And
takes.
misses.
Exactly.
Yep.
It's like, okay, well, oh, I didn't know that dude would jump when I shot at it. Well, like, do you make excuses? Is it the gun? Is it the wind? Is it the bullets? Or is it the user?
Usually it's the user. And that's it. We make excuses for our faults, but we also make excuses not to do what we know we want to do to get to the end of the project,
Mm-hmm.
And you got to defy the odds. You really, I'll tell you what, I was just driven on, I'm going to get this book done. I'm just going to get this book done. And I mean, then just on that target, all the excuses had no time for no excuses. It was the time of, I got to get this done. It's like any project. It's like anything. Or when you have company coming over your house and you want to get your house clean or whatever you got to do before work or after work, it's that mission. I got to get this done. I've got to accomplish it. You got to have that passion and the desire to defy the odds one way or another, whether it's delegating things.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, whether it's delegating things or strategically planning things, spend time strategically planning, but planning for action, not just looking at the, plans. You gotta implement. You gotta take the action and see where you're going from there.
There was a quote that I came across yesterday, and all it really says, I mean, this guy's a multi-millionaire. He does a little blurb in your email every day, 5 days a week. He was the actual editor of Success magazine for many years, after Orson Swett Martin handed it off. And his message yesterday is like, hey, the only difference between me and you is work. That's it.
Yep. Love it. Absolutely.
It's the only difference between me and you. And then all of a sudden people go to the accolades and the wealth and all of this. And it's the only thing because he's like, I'm not a college graduate. I didn't do this. I didn't do this. I can barely type, but I know how to communicate in front of a camera.
Right.
And I know how to talk to people through real estate.
Right.
How many people in context, how many people would look at that and just be like, well, he's got all this wealth and da, 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 da. But if he's working 16, 18, 20 hours a day, just like Elon Musk, right? How's that guy work 80 to 90 hours a week? You make it work. You defy the odds, right? Yeah. For anything that is not your zone of genius, you outsource it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's just like when you become a mom, you may have not had no medical understanding, no nothing, but your kid gets hurt, gets a condition, a medical this and that. All of a sudden you've got an RN license, license to be a mom, so to speak. I mean, like you learn, there's a lot of things in life we learn whether we want to. It's just a matter of the pace or time or when it comes to have to learn those things. Mm-hmm. And it's just, again, we all are different places in life and different things happen. But I mean, look at the paraplegics that, they parasail, they can ride horses, they can, blind people skiing. I mean, like, don't say that's defying the odds. I mean, it truly is like, there is like no reason why you can't accomplish what you want to accomplish.
Well, one common thing, if we poll, I don't know, let's say a sample size of 50, 100 people that are in that space, one of the things that'll probably come out of their mouth, now that's an assumption, or this is an assumption, is that they make no excuses about their handicap, their disabilities, any of that.
No, but their desire, I mean, the thing is their desire to still do something that they were passionate with before they so-called had that injury. That's what it comes down to.
But they don't need to talk about their injury as a preamble to what they're up to.
No, but I'll tell you what, I think when I get my knee surgery someday, I want to go jogging again. It's probably not advised, but I don't care. That's one of my desires to get my knees done someday to go jogging, but I mean, again, like I said, it's one of those things where when you have the passion and desire for stuff, their mindset to move. Absolutely. Thanks for being here, Sandy. Sandra, I haven't seen you in a while. I love you. So yeah, it just defying the odds are something that all of us defy some odds. We defy whether people said we couldn't do something, whether you have injuries, or whether whatever life threw at you that took you that curveball. That doesn't say you can't do those things. Right. Yep. That's right. The disability doesn't define them. Absolutely. And that's exactly, I mean, I used to be able to sing. I haven't even tried to sing. So that's whatever. But I just know that I've had a lot of stomach issues and acid reflux. My voice isn't the way it used to be. But I will say this, that, then I realized, well, okay, I need to use my voice more to talk than to sing. My brother's talented musician, my daughter. I mean, we got musical families. And so, so you just got to look at where you're at and what your desires are and take it from there. And, I mean, I've had some brain injuries where my kids, I didn't even recognize my kids. It's happened twice. They've seen that. And, hopefully it won't happen ever again, but it's just one of those things. And, I was always so embarrassed by that. And I'm like, it is whatever it was. I don't usually talk about having brain injuries because I don't want to be defined by them. And so, or my stomach stuff or this or that. It's like, I find it easier just to manage and do the best I can. And I love, even when I blunder words and verbiage because of migraines or whatever, I love that you and I can even laugh of how I enunciate things at certain times, because it's just fun to just deal with it. It doesn't have to, I don't have to say, oh, Brian, I can't do the show today because I'm having a bad enunciation day or whatever. It's just, anybody can do anything. It shouldn't stop you. You just got to make fun of where you're at and say, okay, but it ain't going to stop me kind of attitude.
Well, you talk to somebody that has a bunch of disabilities, probably that's going to be the last word that comes out of their mouth.
Exactly.
They're not going to be talking about that. I mean, that Nick guy, Nick V. I don't know how you pronounce his last name, but the guy has no arms and no legs. Okay. And he's keynoting speeches all over the place.
Absolutely.
The guy doesn't have any legs and arms. No.
Right.
But he's still with us and he's still doing his thing.
Yep.
And he sells out online, obviously online now, but he sells out. I mean, he's been featured in books and all sorts of things.
That's why I found a long time there was no point to even give an inkling to anybody about things I've been through in my life. And I still got to do that in my second book, because I feel like, why should they really know? So that they can think, oh, well, you know what? I have compassion with Lynn now. I don't want to get compassion by default, because people with any disabilities don't want that compassion. They want to be recognized as being who they are, but not with their flaws. Right. And so it really is something that I don't feel like it's a resume. And I think that's why I like that I did write a book, little thing. I'm like, if you want to take a few minutes and read that little book, that's fine. You don't have to, but it's in my book and I'm not going to talk about it. And then, it's taken that weight off of me as well. So yeah, defying the odds are just something that I find that when we realize that there's people like my dad, he's stubborn and he's just, he's ignorant a lot of things that he doesn't know, but he sticks by what he does know. And it takes a long time to teach him something of new technology or this or that, because he's so adamant about it and so frustrating. And then he gets to the point where he's like, well, do it for me. I'm like, I'm not doing it for you. So, defying the odds yesterday was so cute. He calls the bank to do a payment. And he goes with his Spanish accent, it's the voice thing, right? He goes, payment. And he goes, they don't understand them. I said, Dad, it's your accent. What do you mean? I say payment. I said, Dad, they don't have that. He goes, well, I want to pay. I said, well, say you want to pay. So he hangs up, though. This is a conversation we had after, but he hangs up and he calls back in Spanish. And then he gets through speaking Spanish to them. He goes, why didn't I understand me in English? I said, Dad, it's because you say payment. They don't know that. You got to say payment, right? And he goes, I don't know. So, the frustrating thing. But, I was like, I just sat there like, I'm not here. What's he going to do? And I'm just glad to see, because he was codependent on us a lot for different things. And I was just so glad to see that he figured out another way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was a little frustrated and mad because he kept saying, payment, payment, and it wasn't working. But, you know, again, it's just, he found a way, and I was proud of him. He hung up, he looked at me, and then he went and called again, and he did it in Spanish. So, you know, it's one of those things. So
I think that you know, defining the odds is like the epitome of action. You know, you don't want pity. You don't want whatever. You just want to do what you want to do. But I also think too is that could be a double-edged sword. Is that if they say that they want to defy the odds, but then all they do is keep bringing up what holds them back, that's a dangerous place to be.
Right.
Because you can't move forward without allowing yourself to move forward. Right.
And acknowledging your flaws and say, okay, maybe I don't know how to read because I never learned how to read. Maybe I should find Brian. Brian knows how to read. Maybe I should say, Brian, I don't know how to read. And collaboration. I mean, you gotta admit your flaws and your faults and your different things and, you know, your weaknesses, and move forward. Yeah. You know, I mean, it's
like a series of senses, right? Is that when somebody loses one sense, the other ones get stronger. Well,
absolutely.
The senses that allowed you to survive whatever you went through, those are stronger than maybe some others that people just take for granted.
Right.
But you lean in on those ones by struggle, working hard, being humble, being grateful, appreciation, right?
Yeah.
They're all valid. They just, you double down on the things that got you to where you are through all of the struggle,
right,
to get where you are now. That, you know, if those are strengthened, that's going to be your core. Now, if other people haven't had those things, they're not going to be strong in those areas, so they can't connect on that wavelength.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's like some people could never relate to not knowing if you're going to have another meal. There's people that are freaking clueless to what that looks like, right?
Oh yeah.
Or whether, if they have to go take a lower paying job or something like that, right? They don't relate to it from a standpoint of like, hey, this is how some people have lived, but they didn't stay there.
Right.
You know, they did what they had to do in that moment to get where they wanted to be.
Yeah.
You know, are they any different than anybody else? No. They want to succeed. They want to achieve. They just weren't given what others have, what others just kind of, that's just their normal day to day.
Right. You know? And, you know, it's just like any successful person out there that knows how to do things, you know, they're willing to give people the roadmap of this is what you need to do. And this is where I started. But then other people are like, I don't know if I could do that or whatever, but they don't understand. Oh, but I don't have money in this and that. And I know I'm repeating myself from yesterday when I said, you know, there is Google, there's YouTube, and there's all these things. You can see how many people have defied their odds, how many people have gone against the grain and did things that other people said they can't do, you know, like the 1 mile and all those different things. And so just defy the odds for yourself. You know, I was high risk pregnancy with every one of my kids. I beat those odds. They told my husband at the time that I was not going to make it because the pastor and his wife were at my bedside. They prepared him for my death. You know, I mean, just defying the odds. And then it's great when a doctor tells me I can't do something or don't expect this or that. And I'm like, okay. You know, so it's your will and the powers to be and how you think, you know, because like you said, if you can think you can, or you won't, you're right, you know? So,
I mean, let's look at it from a standpoint. I mean, you know, what we're not talking about is somebody that had a silver spoon in their mouth their whole life, right? Where that's just how life showed up, that they never had any worries. Their bills are going to be paid. They, you know, they were just there. That's okay. If that's how you grew up and that's the way you live life. But it's like the odds of somebody that doesn't know what they're going to do or how they're going to survive is much different than somebody that may not be able to buy a new car next week or whatever that is. you know?
Right.
I mean, so let's just be very clear on defying the odds is people that were, down for the count.
Oh yeah.
People that didn't, that they faced the financial difficulties, they faced upset, divorce, whatever it might be, instead of somebody that never witnessed any of that, the death of a parent, right?
Right.
I mean, you're not, if everything was going great and there's nothing that happened in your life, God bless you.
Well,
because that's not a majority of people.
And defying the odds, you have to have faith, trust, and belief. And you got to believe, you got to believe in the powers that be. You got to believe that whatever you want to achieve, you can do. Because if you don't believe you can do it, then you're absolutely right. And I think that's 90% of this stuff. It's just knowing I got to get my ass out of my own damn way and do it.
Yeah.
So,
well, and let's take that as like actually doing it. Well,
right.
That also means that you went through the gauntlet, that you actually have a choice in the matter.
Right.
Versus like some people that are like, if they, defying the odds, I think is really an individual thing, because if you listen to all the banter, the people that are rooting for you are the ones that you keep working hard because they're there for you. But people that are just sitting, that are just there to be like, hey, just join the misery group, join the pity group, right?
Right.
You're never going to put in the effort, and that could hold you back. Versus, no, I need to be over here. Well, I'm going to choose this.
Including the people that ask, like, if I say, Brian, I'm not feeling good, could you pray for me? Well, I should be praying for myself and believe that I'm going to be fine. I believe in the power of prayer. Let me just say that I believe in the power of prayer. But if you don't believe in your own power of prayer first, and then ask warriors like Brian or anybody else to pray for it with you, not for you, so to speak. That's the difference.
Right.
For you or with you. There is a big difference. When you say pray for me, you're saying your prayer is more powerful because you survived that near-death accident, Brian. So your prayer's more than mine. And we're not getting preachy or religious here, but I'm just making the point that if I say with me, I'm saying let's build that chain of trust and belief and have that power. And I believe that it's united and like we've talked about accountability and that kind of stuff. The power of odds, defying it is it all, taking responsibility for you. That's absolutely right. And then everything else flows from there.
Our prayer works.
Yep.
It begins with yourself. I mean, to Sandra, what you said is that, the responsibility consistently, right? Responsibility never goes away in life, right?
Yep.
We have it regardless if we want to sign up for it or really care to even acknowledge it.
Yep. I hear you.
And it's like, I'm going to be responsible. Okay. What about tomorrow? What about the next day?
Well, it's just like when you have a child, you can't just say, oh, I'm going to change the diapers just today. Like you can't do that.
I saw this yesterday. I was out with my mom and we were hanging out for a little bit, and she went into a store, and I'm just sitting there, and all of a sudden I heard this loud noise, and near this one young girl is walking two kids. I don't know if they were hers or whatever, but by the way she was talking to these little kids, I mean, they were so young that they could barely walk. Okay. And she had a bag and she's yelling at this one. And I'm like, wow, like this kid is being yelled at without even knowing why or what did I do wrong. Right. And it was just sad to see, but it was like, it's unfortunate, but who knows what that girl's life is going to be like with those kids. Right. I mean, I don't know what her background is. I don't know what her situation is, but it's one of those things that,
yeah. Well, like I said,
that's defying the odds right there, where it's like, okay, who knows if they have a place to live, who knows why she's upset, but it was just something I'd seen yesterday, and it just made me like, wow, yeah.
Yep. Well, that's what I mean. We don't know what we don't know, especially in each other's lives. And so, and it's like that game with the horse and with the straws on the horse's back, the straws that broke the Camel are the horses back the game thing, you know, just adding that one extra thing that's just going to make it crash. I'm talking old school here, people.
Yeah, I don't even get it.
I know you're 11 years younger, so I don't really expect you to get it.
No, I'm actually 14 years younger. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Something like that. Yeah. Sorry. I didn't want to do the math. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm older, way older. Yeah.
Trust me, you know, anyhow, it's just
that's okay. We'll see how each other looks in 10 years from now. I think you'll catch up with me.
I'm not making any wager.
No, put it this way. You get to a certain age, you don't even look at what age anybody is. You just know they're younger.
I'll tell you what, though.
Oh, there's Cheryl. Yeah, she just recently had a birthday on Flag's Day. Hey, happy birthday. I can't wait to be over at her house. That's enough. Yeah, Dennis, yeah.
And 11, 14. It's okay.
But you do know a lot of old school.
Speaking of that, is that I've been finding that there's a lot more people that they act a lot, well, they, by their mannerisms and behavior, they act a lot older than they are, you know, by they're not willing to have fun or.
Oh no! The older I get, the
live with a high sense of vitality.
Yeah,
you know?
Shoot. The older I get, the younger I act. I'm not growing up. I am not. My grandkids will keep me young.
Man, if I was to take what I know now back to like my undergrad and college, I probably wouldn't have pledged a fraternity or something because I'd be in bed by 11. You know what I mean? That probably wouldn't have worked. But,
oh my God. Yeah. Let's see. I'm grabbing something to show you guys here. Well, let's see. It'll take me a second. Let's see. Anyways, you can keep talking. I'll just stick this here in a minute.
So, I mean, you know, defying the odds. I mean, everybody comes from a different place. Everybody's had struggle, but it's like in the moment of where you have to make a choice, what do you do? Right.
Yeah.
I know we've mentioned it several times on the show, but no excuses, you know, a limitless, abundant mindset, you know, are you going to let circumstances get in your way?
Absolutely. See, there we go. This is my grandkids 6 years ago. I have this thing about getting solo cups and building them. Now I have a grandson that's a year old. For Christmas, he's getting 400 solo cups, and we're going to build a fort in the living room. It's going to be awesome. We ain't growing up. And they love stacking them and everything. Yeah. I'm not growing up. That just came up on my screen the other day, and I was like, oh, look at them. So
I just had to pick up a really big bag of different colored solo cups.
And you know, and I show that and I share this because I wasn't, after losing my baby at 19, I wasn't supposed to have any kids whatsoever. And to say I have 6 grandkids and 3 daughters, there you go. That's all I can say. Right. So it just, I was just blessed, but I'll tell you what, that's why I believe in the power of prayer for me, you know, which there was another cool thing for me.
Well, let's look at the word, you know, like defy. It's like, hey, you know, to me, what that word symbolizes, like, nah, this is not how my story is going to be written.
Right.
It's like, nah, this is not the narrative of my life. You know, this is how I want. I'm gonna have the pen in my hand and I'm gonna be writing what it looks like every day. You know,
absolutely.
And it's kind of like David versus Goliath, right? You got so many people against you. As time goes on, you become very immune to it, right? You don't let that get in the way because it really doesn't matter. It's just noise, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's more people out there that want you to be just like them, that want you to, you know, do other things. Now, the thing about it is that they don't have a problem with you when you're like them, like, you know, but somehow they feel, forever 29. Absolutely, Helen. A lot of people get old too soon. 100%, Cheryl. Yep.
Absolutely.
I mean, I know ever since my mom retired and some other people, it was like there was two different things that either happened, and it was so vivid for me, is that when somebody's retired, they're busier than when they retired or before they retired, right? Or they just get into a habit and they're not
They
around
die
people
too
very
soon.
much anymore. Yeah. Like they don't have any motivation anymore, and then they slowly trickle down the health cycle, and then they are called,
Yeah.
and
It's sad.
it's just like polar opposites. Like, man, I don't know how I did all this back when I was working, because now that I've got all this time, I'm doing all this stuff, right? And but it's it's an interesting thing, but it's
amen,
says,
Dennis.
others will not control my narrative. That's between me and absolutely 100%.
Absolutely. And
but see, the difference there, the difference there, Dennis, is that you have a say in the matter, and it matters enough to you that you're not going to leave your life to chance.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I was driving in Atlanta to get to Vanessa's house, and I don't think you can't see it in this picture, but it's a pink truck, and the pink truck had on there a Proverbs that really helped me when I was hemorrhaging to death. And it says Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. And it's basically the narrative. I for 10 hours, I was just saying it so much I couldn't remember the whole verse. I just stayed with the words, lean not on your own understanding. And it just knowing that whatever's going to be is going to be, but lean not on your understanding. Don't understand why you're going through this right now. Just have faith and trust that what you ask will be done. And it's go ahead.
Speaking of that, it reminds me of a line that, you're welcome, Dennis. Absolutely. Is that a line that in the Equalizer? So anybody that likes Denzel Washington, right? Equalizer 1, when he confronts that gang that boy is getting into, right? Mm-hmm. And he goes to their place, and he gets the guy out of, the boy out of there before he was given a gun and he was going to have to do something for his loyalty. Is that he said, Denzel Washington says, why not you? Why not you? Right? Why not you? Out of all these people that could be saved from the ghetto and from violence and, killing and all of that, why not you? Same thing here. Defy the odds. Why not you? Yep. Why not you to be that person that can do amazing things? You could be the best person, the best employee at your business or company or whatever, the best giver at your church, right? There's only one person that's telling us what we can and can't do, and that's us. That's
right. Yeah, don't be the crab in the bucket that's trying to get out.
Correct. But why not you? Ask yourself that question. Why not you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because what we see in the mirror every day, and it's only 3 pounds of brain matter, right? 3 pounds of brain matter is what's helping us in terms of what we can and can't do.
That's a big matter of fact. No pun intended. So, hey, Dennis, after the show, I'll message you about making plans to come to Maryland and see you. So if you're available around July.
Yeah, you have to get some fresh fish or fresh catch when you're out there.
Well, I lived in Maryland for 2 years. I lived in Aldersburg outside Westminster. So my middle daughter was born in Baltimore. So, yeah. Yeah, so either July 10th or 11th, I'll be around there. But anyhow, defying the odds it's a really, really great topic because we've got to realize that with this whole split up and everything that happened in 2020 and all these things, so many people had to defy the odds. And also bring compassion to realize, if anything, I think it was a reset for people to have compassion and to actually lift everybody up and say, hey, Brian, I hope the wedding industry picks up for you, and, it's having empathy and realizing that we all can do things. We got to defy the odds of, people not doing weddings traditionally the way they were, or trying to cut corners and things like that. And, and I'm sure that you really have taken a hit with, services and fees and things like that, So again, it's finding other ways to get that industry to back up and running,
Well, I've mentioned this, given the context whenever it comes up, is that the same, and I said this before before we are where we are now, is that the pandemic was no different. It was different circumstantially than the 2008 economy crash, right? Is that there was still people 2 or 3 years later that were still blaming the economic crash for why their business isn't where it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, number one, obviously the economy was the United States, but it might have been global, but it wasn't like just everything shut down as what we witnessed, right? But still, 3 years later, and people are still using the same expression and the same words, and I'm like, wow. So that's given everybody this sense of like, well, I'm just going to use this as my scapegoat.
Well,
so people have pity for me, for people to have,
I think people forget you got to have a breakdown to have a breakthrough. So, being on and I love swimming and diving. But being on a diving board, that's your starting point, but you got to jump, and you got to jump in the freaking water all in, not just get your toe wet. You got to just like submerge yourself into whatever new thing you're doing and come back with, how are you going to come back up? How are you going to float back up? You're either going to drown or you're going to float.
It makes me laugh. Like there was some people in my industry that talked about, I cannot wait for it to go back to the way it was. I'm like, I laughed, and it wasn't out of any disrespect. It was just like, dude, are you hearing yourself right now? It's not going to.
Yeah. Well, it's because things shifted. Things are not the way, and that's just it. Every industry forgets, that's why I tell people when I help people market their business, I say, Brian, we will your niche might be just consulting them for the wedding planning, but the niche should be relationships. You should be talking more topics about relationships and things like that, because if you get so down to your niche to one thing, like good weight loss industry, let's just talk about back in the day, it was cassette tapes, Richard Simmons. You keep talking about Richard Simmons tapes. They went from CDs, 8-tracks to DVDs to like streaming online video. You don't see DVDs that often. I mean, it changes. So, but the topic will still all be the same thing, is weight loss, not Richard Simmons come and go. Suzanne Thigh Masters come and go, but weight loss is the topic you should be talking about, because then you leave yourself open to that industry and finding different things. And I think that's where people, whether they love selling CBD or this and that, they can't just keep talking about CBD, because the next week they're like, oh, there's these patches. Oh, now I'm going to be talking about patches weight loss, or, oh my gosh, you got to eat an apple. It's like talk about the weight loss, talk about the whatever, but don't bring it down to how you're doing it, because then you get stereotyped, put yourself in a corner, and you got to defy the odds by reinventing yourself every time you get another hair up your butt to sell something different, and people are still like 3 products back from where you were at the beginning. No.
Well, defying the odds, like for me, I'm very passive to not to change per se, but it's like, like trend things, right? I want to see it in the marketplace and see what it's doing. But my hesitation to diving in virtually, and I spent an enormous amount of money last year on getting better in front of the camera and courses and everything, and buying the technology. And so I don't have red hair. And but it was like I would always want to meet somebody in person, right? Because how else do you connect to somebody?
Right.
But the two areas where I was resigned in is value and connection. That there is no replacing a face-to-face. But if you can convey feeling and emotion and value through a visual medium, there's not, is there differences of hugging and seeing each other? Yes. But what is the outcome? What is this for? And there was two situations last year that made a huge difference for me, of like, hey, there is really no going back in terms of if people want to communicate via video or FaceTime or Zoom or whatever, or StreamYard, because look at how much you can do, and you can achieve the same outcome.
Absolutely.
Do I want to work with you, and do you want to work with me? Right. And if we don't, I remember one situation where I gave up a whole day and I was referred by this lady to her sister. And I drove 3.5 hours one way. I had dinner with them. I looked at the space and I'm like, we never ended up working together. So I'm like, wow. Now I'm reminded of that. And this ties into Defy the Odds. How do I reframe it to be comfortable with the new? And so, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, what kind of things would I have needed to pull this off via video? A couple pictures of the venue, maybe a diagram from the catering manager or whatever, and a conversation.
Yeah. Well,
we
now
don't have to have that dinner and, the driving and stuff.
And that's just it. I mean, that's one thing it should have showed us is video alleviates you from traveling. I mean, half the people aren't even wearing pants when they're in videos. I am wearing pants, but that's beside the point.
Me too.
Today.
But other days. I'm just glad the camera's propped up and I don't. Yeah.
No. The point we're getting at here is when you realize you don't have to spend miles driving or, hotel stays and all these different things, until you're ready to do that. I mean, it's such an invaluable tool. But again, it's defying and learning that there are different ways to get to where you need to go to Sesame Street. No,
Well, and here's the thing is that, okay, Defy the Odds. I could have the same belief that it's like, oh man, I'm not going to be able to meet people. And I could keep thinking that. But then there's opportunities passing me by unless, and I don't like the word pivot, but unless I'm willing to transform my visual. And it's like, now it's really easy for everybody. It's really easy for everybody because if somebody, out of this, what we witness, it's like video is so commonplace now. Zoom, FaceTime, these platforms are second nature, right? Which is great because now they're household names versus, I always use like a grandmother or something like that, right? Is she reluctant to engage in technology, right?
Yeah.
Always wear pants.
And there could be dresses too.
I don't have one of those on, but
You don't have your kilt on? I thought it went with that shirt.
I got my grass skirt on. I got my grass skirt. That's why I framed it. You only can see the thing up here. Probably a little too much information, but I'm an open book. So, but here's the thing is that, and I thought about this person, and I'm like, wow, I'm just trying to be present to their mindset where it's like they want to go back to the way it was, and it's like any opportunity outside of that, whatever be a thought or an opportunity, like video. You don't have to drive anywhere, right? You can simplify the process if somebody wants to work with you and you want to work with them, right? Plus, in my opinion, knowing that the number one asset we all have now is our time, right? Or attention, okay? It's like if somebody's willing to give you some time, what is that worth?
It's priceless.
And somebody just quickly like no showing on a Zoom call or whatever, right? There's really no hiding anymore. And so in a business environment, it should hopefully simplify the process.
Oh yeah.
Because if they no show, well, then what happened? If you confirmed what happened, right? There might be a silent objection there or something that they don't want to tell you, but that needs to be resolved if you want to be on the same page. So absolutely, I find a lot of validity to it. And there's always another route. It's just a matter of, number one, if we can see it. Number two, if we actually pursue it.
Absolutely.
Like Lynn, I mean, even like when you're traveling and stuff, it's like, okay, when we do these shows, I mean, we don't want the internet to crap out, right?
Yeah.
Like,
we did it. We've dealt with that. Right. It's no fun.
And so the thing about it is that, like when we're doing these shows, it's like the prep time. We want to show up for you guys in a certain way. We want to give you some great content, but it's like defying the odds. Well, we kind of just let roll and we hope that we have great internet. Like, I've got a backup sitting right here in case if something should happen right here. I got a backup ready to go.
Yeah.
It's just how it works, Right. So that's defying the odds.
Absolutely. And you know, like you said, you could have good intentions or whatever, but you have to be realistic of where you're at. And if it's not working right, then you need to do something else.
Well,
you know.
and here's another thing I see is that defying the odds is not making an excuse that the internet sucked.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, but that's a simple example that it's like, oh, sorry, it keeps dropping out or whatever. Well, every time that happens, it's more of a distraction than it is actually moving the conversation forward.
Right,
you know?
Right. Yeah, we've tried to defy the odds on the internet, and when that shit ain't working, that shit ain't working. That's just no joke.
You know, and here's the thing is that, you know, and this is just a critique about some people I've seen, you know, in webinars and stuff. It's like they're doing a presentation for a small group of people, but they never thought to have a backup solution like their iPad set up or whatever, or maybe they're even like logged in like on Zoom or something, but they're they sell the bubble, but they're muted out, right?
Right. Or
go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Where all they have to do is just click it on and they're ready to go. It's not like they have to log in and do all that stuff, you know. So find the odds, you know, if that'll never happen. If you ever catch yourself thinking that, well, imagine if it did, and then respond accordingly with an action.
Absolutely. Man, time is up again. Another fast show just like that. And you guys have a great weekend. Have a great next 3 weeks. I'll try to get like some updates of some dates or what's going on, or, you know, whatever. And it might even be, if I'm in a place, Brian and I can do an off show and then bring it on live, you know, do it off, maybe a 30-minute just banter or whatever, and then just play those. So we'll figure it out, you guys. But most of all, we want them to have a great weekend, right? And happy Father's Day to all you fathers out there, and all you single moms that are play as a dad as well. We just want to wish you a happy Father's Day. So let me see. Love you too, Sandra.
Yes. Yeah,
ooh, some massive lightning or thunder. So anyhow, we're out of here. Hold on. Bye.